Okay, folks, what you're looking at here is a little link arm that I use to lock the auxiliary rudder in place. Now, this is the old auxiliary rudder, so my setup is different on the new auxiliary rudder, but I still need something to lock it in place. So, you know, when I want to manually steer the boat, or when I'm backing up or something, I want to lock that in place. Now, give me a second here, get myself resituated, because of course the boat's sailing and I'm bouncing around. Okay, there it is. Horizontal axis wind vane, inclined 20 degrees. And the benefits of that are when the boat heels, the blade is actually pushed into the wind rather than away from the wind, thereby providing more weather helm, not less. You notice that on the axis of the wind vane, I've just got a crossbar. I don't have any kind of a round device like a pulley or shiv or something like that. And that's because I found that negative feedback in a wind vane is really important so it doesn't oversteer. And using a cross arm rather than something that's round, if I use something that was round at the top and the bottom both, it would maintain a 1-to-1 ratio between the wind vane blade movement and the amount of movement in the control surface. By using straight bars, the more the wind vane turns, the less movement there is in the line. So that's providing built-in negative feedback. In addition to the inclined axis. All these things I have discovered through experimentation over thousands of miles of sailing. With this setup and previous wind vanes that I have, and auxiliary rudders that I have used. Now, I'm going to reiterate one thing here. It's really important. You must learn how to sail your boat. You must learn how to get the sails balanced. Now, with the wind forward of the beam, that's pretty easy to do. You should be able to get the boat either with the tiller lashed or the wheel, in my case, or let it be free to go where it wants to go. Just by trimming the sails, you should be able to get the boat to sail a pretty steady course. Now, as the apparent wind gets further and further aft, that becomes more and more difficult to the point of being impossible for most modern contemporary hull designs. But you have to be very careful not to have too much weather helm, because that will cause the boat constantly to round up. And you really can't correct that by turning the main helm or the tiller or the wheel, because if the wind strength changes, the apparent wind direction moves sometimes quite rapidly forward or aft, and it'll cause the boat to round up or to bear off and accidentally jibe. So, autopilots and wind vanes are strictly reactionary. They do not anticipate. They're not proactive. Even the super sophisticated autopilots that the single-hand round-the-world racers use, and they have X, Y, Z roll, pitch, and yaw sensitivity. So that all gets, I guess all those settings are programmable and settable depending on the boat the unit's being used on. So that helps them to react quicker, and you can probably crank some weather helm in with a device like that, but not too much. Even so, on a very expensive autopilot like that, it is strictly reactionary. It's not proactive. So please do remember that. If you get frustrated, you got your wind vane hooked up to whatever it is that you're using, you can't seem to get it to steer a good course, or it's wandering around too much, check the balance. Make sure your helm is neutral in the middle for the main rudder.